How's it going, everyone? Hope you've had a good week. Just a friendly reminder, we're still finishing on week or module 3, chapter 3. Make sure you finish your review questions. That's why I went into that. I put a reminder, of course, in the announcement page, but this check-in video is to highlight what's coming up next. So your module 4, APA Writing and Legal Research section is what we're going to focus on coming up next. So really important, really quickly before we jump into Module 4, I want to show you kind of a sneak peek what's in Module 5. So if you look at Module 5, we're going to talk about today's healthcare environment. So we'll change subjects a little bit here. But Module 4 is really important because we got a lot of great information about APA writing in our legal research paper, which will be coming up. So if you look into the future, and you're not going to be able to see this, we got some exams. Don't look at the date here because I got to change the date on that. But our legal research project is going to be due like in module, it's technically module 8, but it's like skip section. So because there's an actual module 8, it's between module 7 and module 8. That's what I should have said. So it'll be coming up in the near future. So when you take a look at your course schedule, which I'll open real quick, it'll highlight a little bit more detail about that. Let me open that and I'll be right back. It's due on the 14th, which is great because we have over a month before it's due. So when we think about the legal research project, we have plenty of time. So we're going to learn how to write effectively in APA coming up, and then we'll talk about in this module 2 what kind of topic you need to pick, and then we'll look over, of course, our research and requirements for the legal research paper. So research requirements is what I was trying to say. So let's hop back into the course content, and I'm going to step into Module 4, and we'll talk through that. All right. So in this class, and in healthcare in general, you write in APA style, American Psychological Association style. There's a long history of why that's the case. It's been going on for years. I've been writing in APA, man, it seems like an eternity. It really was a push when I started my bachelor's degree back in 2007, I think was the year I started, aging myself a little bit there. But yeah, APA is the way healthcare writing occurs from a majority perspective. So we got to learn how to write effectively in APA style. One good thing about this week's module, there are no discussion boards. There are no homework sections. We haven't done a discussion board yet. That'll come in the future. There's no homework this week. So we have a full concentration on how to write effectively in APA style. So the first video that you're going to pull up, an APA overview, is going to talk a lot about what APA is, what it's about, why we should focus on it, all that kind of really, really good stuff. Had to exit the video there, so sorry for changing the view. But the APA overview is a really great starting point for how to write in APA style. And the cool thing about this, there are downloadable sample papers on the APA style website, which I just jumped to here, and sorry, I had to move things around. So and you'll hear about this in the video, but I encourage students, download one of these student sample papers, not with annotations. You want to go to the Microsoft Word document one without annotations. Download that and then write in there, because your APA is already pre-formatted, so you don't have to worry about getting all the formatting things changed around in Word. So download that, write in that before you start, or you can copy your paper into that, and it should go ahead and copy the right format for you guys. I think that's really important to use a sample paper, so I always include those. You're not going to see that section of the class. Let me move this over for you guys. I always include those in, of course, the module where we talk about APA. So watch the APA overview. Remember the sample papers. There's another sample paper here. And then you're going to also take a look at the Google Scholar tutorial and more about APA. How do you find research articles related to your paper? So you have to pick something related to healthcare, and I'll talk about that in the videos, but it has to be healthcare related. It can be anything in healthcare, but it needs to have a legal case associated with it. So healthcare related with a legal case. So Google Scholar really has some great things in there. There's and I'll talk about this more in the video. I don't want to confuse you, but there's a case law section of Google Scholar. If you click on that, you can find a lot of different really cool information about case law in Google Scholar. So I'm not going to crash the party in regards to the video there, but there's more information where that comes from. I also want to highlight real quick, if you go to the left side of the course, 1 second, and you click library right here, there's a PMI online library. Use this. EBSCO is great. It has a lot of great information in here, just like Google Scholar does. It's going to have a little bit more. Sometimes it can be a little more difficult to find what you need, but if you have a case or if you have something that you want to look at from the perspective of, you have a topic that you want to research, use the library. This is the EBSCO section of the library. It's great. It's really nice that you're provided this resource because you're, of course, in classes, and this is something that's going to be important for research. The one thing that I want to mention, I'm going to exit out of this real quick and go back to the class. All right, this is the library again for you guys. The one thing I want to mention, hop around a little bit for you guys, so apologies for that. The thing I want to mention that I was talking about earlier is the sources that you find have to be scholarly. So they have to be either on the library or Google Scholar. Don't use .com websites. You can use .gov or .edu because there's usually a little more research into those websites, of course, and there's a little more background. We can't use opinion pieces to write our papers because you're just writing based on another person's opinion. We want factual information. So we're going to talk more about that in that Google Scholar tutorial. All right, we talked about the sample papers. We also have a few really important APA 7th edition because APA changes from time to time. We're on the 7th edition of APA now. It's been like that for a while. We'll be on the 8th at some point. I haven't heard when that's coming out, but we're still in the 7th. So we have some supplemental videos here that talk about, more when it comes to APA 7. The Purdue OWL online writing lab is really the standard for a lot of videos, a lot of content related to APA or any other writing style for that matter. So this is all public. You can access it anywhere. So I included these videos for you. Take a look at that when you get a chance. It'll really help highlight things from a perspective of writing in APA. Some more helpful tools here in another section. I, of course, have a Google Scholar article research information, Purdue OWL, APA help, which is some of those videos there, how to create an effective PowerPoint. If you want to use a PowerPoint in your presentation, you can do that. We're going to talk about what's due for the paper here in a minute. And then ScreenPal. I use ScreenPal to record my lectures. You can actually use that as your video. You don't actually have to record, and we'll talk about this in a second, your face or have a video on. You can actually have the screen, do a screen recording for your presentation. So I use ScreenPal to do that. You're able to do that as well to get credit. All right, I'm going to go back to where we were. And then here's some questions and tips regarding APA. This is not anything that's due. If you see something that's cool out there, you want to share it with other students, put it in the APA questions and tips section, and I'll comment on those as well. Not something that's due, just supplemental. All right, I'm going to pull up the legal research paper instructions real quick. When I pulled this up, I made some changes to make it a little more clear for you guys. So I updated it on both the course content section and in here in the module. And I think this will be helpful. It's going to download. I made it into a Word document instead. All right, 1 second. I had some confusion. There's two elements to this assignment, and one's optional. The main element is just to research the case and understand the case. So provide an overview. So the overview of the case would be just a summary in your own words, who was involved, core allegations or claims, legal issues and applicable laws, history from a procedural standpoint, where was the ruling, was it appealed, that kind of stuff. You don't have to go into a lot of detail regarding that, just know the basics, and it'll be in the case that you find. And then a final court decision and reasoning. The section should say neutral. Don't express opinions in the case overview because it just needs to be factual. The second part of the legal research paper that's optional is you can put an opinion section in there. It's an optional stance, personal analysis, or optional viewpoint. It won't affect your grade, but you can make sure that you put it in there. Keep it under a half page is what I recommend, and separate it from the factual overview of the case. try not to integrate your opinions in the case overview. So try to separate those two things, because that's going to be important just to understand, the differences. So when I read it, I understand the case and then your viewpoint after that. Totally fine to include that. It will count as your 3 pages. So I didn't talk about the requirements. It's got to be in APA format, which we're talking about today. Has to be at least 3 pages. Has to have 2 references. 5 is more credible. 2, of course, scholarly references. If you have 5, that's even better. And it doesn't have to be specific about the case. Maybe you have a case of negligence, and you find some information out there about provider negligence not associated with cases. You can tie that in to the paper in some capacity if you're interested. It also needs to have a cover page. APA always has a cover page, but I wanted to list that as a requirement. The cover page does not count, or in the reference page as well, does not count to your total of 3 pages. 3 pages double spaced would be introduction, body, and conclusion of your work. Okay. How do you get a good grade? You have to have a well-written paper with limited issues from a grammatical or APA standpoint. It's got to be an accurate paper, so don't just make up things. Make sure you actually read the facts, and make sure you have an analysis if that's in there from a legal perspective. And then, of course, you can have your optional section in there as well, and then separation of the facts from any optional stance. So just have organization of the paper. So 2 sections would be, if you're interested in having your opinion, you can put that in the paper, but in a different section. Just separate it. All right, let's go back to the course content. So that's a pretty lengthy overview there. Feel free to read it when you get a chance. Long time. We have a lot this week. I'm going to reorder this so the video's at the top, but there's a lot going on, but there's no homework. So just dig in. Really make sure you understand the material. I know I talked for a long time. Reach out to me if you're confused or have questions. I'm happy to help you. I talk to a lot of students on a weekly basis. That's why I'm here. But I'm encouraged because you guys are doing a really great job, and I think you're going to do really great in this paper. Don't stress about it. If you put forth effort, you're going to do a good job. And I'll talk through as the weeks progress. I'm able to take a look at your APA style. So when you start working on your format, if you want to email me your paper, I can review your APA style and give tips and feedback. I can't review your writing, but I can review the style and give you feedback, because I'm hoping that'll be helpful. This is your first, probably a lot of your first time writing an APA, so we're going to work together in order to be successful, so don't stress about it. Thanks for listening for a full 12 minutes here for a check-in video, which is a little longer than usual. If you need anything, don't hesitate to reach out. Enjoy APA, and I'm looking forward to talking to you soon.